Hi, this is Haley Reardon, and you're listening to Icon Fetch.
Welcome to Icon Fetch, the web's premier music interview show. Now, here's your host, Tony Peters.
Welcome to the show. I am Tony Peters. Well, they say that everything old is new again, and that holds true for Banjo Nickaru and the Western Scooches, who have combined elements of country, bluegrass, western swing, rockabilly, and Dixieland jazz. And the result is an infectious blend of styles that will get you dancing for sure. They've just issued a new EP called The Very Next Thing. And from the band, we welcome in Betina Hershey. How are you, Betina?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Good. Now, this is another project. You and your husband, Nick, have another project called the Hot Jazz Jumpers. So where did the idea for this new band come about?
Well, Hot Jazz Jumpers mainly focuses on 1920s jazz and New Orleans style, and there's a lot of that happening in New York City, and Nick plays with a ton of bands that do that style, so we also love doing that style. But I've always liked Americana and bluegrass, and my mom used to sing a lot of that stuff to me. I have an uncle that plays the banjo, and somehow Nick picked up the banjo before we got married, the 5-string banjo, and it kind of came up out of his love for that, and then my love for the music as well. So we switched. This band focuses on different styles.
Hey, misbehaving, I'm saving my loving for you.
Nice. Now, you and Nick, were you guys doing music, and that's kind of how the two of you met, kind of thing, or was music kind of what brought you together?
So we met on the street. He just came up to me and said, "Hey, are you by any chance a musician or a performer?" And I was like, "Wow, yes, I am." And we chatted, and he gave me his card. And
nice.
Talking, when he gave me his card, I said, "Nick Russo, I sang in your jazz jam 3 years ago." So we always joke around that all of his self-promotion got him a wife.
That's a great story. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And we started playing music together immediately because music is such a part of both of our lives. Like, it was just part of, you couldn't go on a date without jamming.
Right. Well, that's fun. That sounds like those were fun dates. That's awesome. So with this new project, you're not just doing like the 1920s jazz that kind of opens things up to pretty much anything Americana that falls into that. When you go about sort of picking the songs, then, I mean, you have this like wide palette. You said your mom sang songs to you when you were a kid, so like you're drawing on that. I mean, you're drawing on a lot of different aspects, kind of thing.
Yeah, I've listened to so much music in my life, but somehow the things that your mom sings to you stick with you for a long time. So You Are My Sunshine is one that I just had to sing.
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away.
Yeah, I pulled from something that I used to listen to all the time when I was a kid, well, when I was a teenager. The Giacomo.
Talk about hey now, hey now, hey now, hey now, I can know name. Hey now, hey now, hey now, hey now, tell me more feeling.
Like on car trips, and then new things that I discovered, like the Nobody But My Baby's Getting Your Love is a 1920 song by Eva Taylor, who I found just by saying, I want to find a really cool 20s tune that nobody does.
Oh, baby, but my baby, he's getting my love.
And that one, nobody in the scene was singing or playing, and so.
Yeah, it's always fun when you can uncover something like that that hasn't been played to death, kind of thing. So that's.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And you've also got some original songs on the disc too, right?
Absolutely. Getting Married is a song that we wrote before we got married, so we wrote it quite a while ago.
I'm getting married, so goodbye to my life of sin. Now my sin is perfectly legal. I do what I want every night. I stare in their eyes and wonder, how can this be so right?
But we've just gotten good at playing it because Nick's 5-string banjo playing is really solidified, and I didn't used to be able to play my guitar super fast.
See, this is all that touring and all that playing is paid off, right? So.
Yeah. And then I Don't Believe in Love is another one that I wrote when I first met him.
No, you see, my doll, I don't believe in love. I refuse to fall, I don't believe in love. Strum those strings and bat those eyes and hang around the lot. Raise my cook and wash the dishes, is that all that you got?
It's a fun song. And in this song it says, I'll never love you, but I'll marry you in Spain. And then we did end up taking a honeymoon in Spain, like playing on the streets.
That's life imitating art right there, right? Isn't?
Yeah, there you go. It was totally accidental. We didn't plan it.
No, that's awesome. And what if I talk about I'm getting married? What I think there's a line in there that says like my sin is perfectly legal or something. I love it. That's great.
Yeah. I love that too.
That's a great line. So tell me about the other vocalist, Miles Griffith. It really adds a whole nother element to what's going on. How did you get hooked up with Miles?
Nick and Miles have been playing together forever, like from before I met them. I think Nick went to school with Miles, and they studied with Jimmy Heath together, and they just dig each other's music so much. Nice.
Now you're the vocalist in the band, but then when you get Miles, you've got two vocalists, and that's got to be a thrill because
unusual, right?
It is, but it's got to take it to a totally different level because usually a band has one singer and you just sit there and you sing, and then the guitar player and the keyboard player or whatever it might be, they all get to kind of have little conversations and then you sing, but with you and Miles in the band, you can kind of have your own conversations between vocalists kind of thing too, I think.
Oh yeah. And it's great because Nick is our fearless band leader, and he really believes the vocalists are musicians 100%. Like, we get to play just as much as the instruments get to play, and Miles for sure knows how to do that, and I get swept up in it. It's really fun.
David Pleasant, this is a guy that's kind of a unique percussionist. I mean, sometimes he plays drums, and sometimes he beats on his body or something. What?
Oh, yeah. So he does the Gullah Geechee inspired rhythms, and he has like a drum set that he's made, all of his own tambourines, and he's always putting things together anew because he's always hitting his drum set with such intensity. You can see him all practically leaping out of his seat, and things he has tambourines that are always splitting apart the seams, and he uses spoons, he beats on his drum, he stomps. He's worked with dance companies like Urban Bushwomen, so he's got a lot of movement behind his music too. Nice. He's unique.
Absolutely, and I mean you can really hear it on the record too. It really gives it a totally different kind of sound too. So, if I was just to focus on the kind of music that you're doing, and a lot of it is old stuff, what kind of draws you to that and not playing sort of like modern day music?
That's such a good question. I grew up reading out of a fake book because I didn't like to play like the piano. I didn't like to practice the classical music, and my mom plunked a fake book in front of me and taught me how to read the melodies and how to play chords. And this fake book had songs from the 20s, the 30s, the 40s. Like it was the way that I learned music, not just by listening to the radio, but also by clunking things out in this fake book and then falling in love with the songs. So I've kind of always loved a wide range of ages, and old stuff has been really fun to find.
Nice. And it's definitely infectious. There's something about, I don't know, you listen to your music and you've always got, it's like it's hard to not have a smile on your face. I think that's...
Yeah, it's bouncy. Man, like when the red robin goes bob-bopping along.
I'm just a kid again, doing what I did again, singing the song. When the red robin goes bob-bopping along.
It just like makes you want to bounce on the street. I really enjoy singing the positive, bouncy songs.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Now I understand. Not only are you singer, but you also have quite an extensive background in dance as well. I mean, like even you had worked with Disney and something too. Is that right?
Yeah. So I've appeared in 2 films: Disney's Enchanted and Mona Lisa Smile with Jonah Rhys, with Julia Roberts. But those were 2 things that I did out of a long career of, like, I was in tap dance companies and modern dance companies, and I toured with musicals like Phantom of the Opera, and I got to play guitar in Pump Boys and Dinettes, where they changed the part from a man to a woman, so I could do the part and play guitar.
Nice.
I've done a ton of things, and I've always, since I was born, pretty much sung and danced.
Nice. All right. Well, Betina, it was a pleasure talking to you, and I think we're going to turn things over to Nick now.
Yeah,
that sounds good.
Nick and put him right on with.
Cool.
Hi, Tony. How you doing?
Nick, how are you, man?
Oh, good. Thanks so much.
You and Betina have the hot jazz jumpers. So where did the idea come up for this new project?
Good question. We had actually, I was asked to play some folk gigs, some folk festivals, and I met a couple jazz musicians that are, crossover artists, so to speak. And I said, man, I really belong in this scene as well. I've been so eclectic my whole life, and I really grew up with the roots and blues. So when I started talking about our group, Hot Jazz Jumpers, and showing that, we do some roots music, when we play gigs, we do this, but on the album, it had such an eclectic mix, including some like avant-garde pieces. So I started thinking, well, how do I get a folk album out as quick as possible? Well, since there were so many tracks on it, there's 17 tracks, and we had already had received so many great reviews, including London Times, and we were in Downbeat and New York Music Daily. I thought, what about if I extract a couple tunes, and then we'll put some of our originals that Betina and I wrote that are folk tunes on, and change the order, change the mixing. We actually took out some of the traditional Goa Geechee rhythms. It's been pleasant. We didn't take them out. We just kind of shortened them, made them radio friendly. And there's the incarnation of Banjo Nickaru and Western Scooches' first record. Now, this band has been playing already, but we didn't have our album out. And it made sense to do it that way, kind of spring off what we already had.
Well, I mean, the bottom line is you have to be, as a musician, you can have these kind of ideas of, well, I don't want any labels put on things, but you also have to be a realist and understand that that's how the business works, is by labels. And you have clubs that are jazz clubs, and you have clubs that are folk clubs. And if you have a jazz album, or it's marketed as a jazz album, they're not likely to book you if you're a folk band, whatever. I mean, I get that. I totally understand that, when it comes to clubs, when it comes to record labels, when it comes to websites and different things like that, people just like labels. It makes it more palatable, I guess, and as a musician, I'm sure it's very frustrating because, I mean, look at your band. You're drawing on all these crazy different styles that maybe, shouldn't even work together, but they do. And yet, you're also asked to put labels on things.
Right, yeah. That's really well said.
If I ask you about, you got a new record in the works kind of thing too? I mean, this one comes out in September, but then you're already working on, the follow-up, right?
Yeah, and that's usually not my modus operandi. I'm learning from my errors and growing and becoming more mindful as a business person. And this time I'm thinking way, way, way ahead. And also, Betina's been inspiring me because she's been writing all this. She's such a prolific writer, so it's just been inspiring.
All right, you got one more question. What about, when you guys are touring, because you drawing all these different elements of Americana. Any city that you're in America, there's got to be some music history there. Do you ever get a chance to like actually, dig into, over here, this bluegrass musician, his house was over here or something? Do you ever get a chance to kind of go on a little side journey to dig up some of the roots kind of thing?
Yeah, we do. I mentioned, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, Marlboro, which is, I just have to Google that, some city in North Carolina that we just played last year. I was playing with Doug Large and Elizabeth Cotton comes from. And then we did a gig in Arkansas as a trio, me, Betina, and Dr. David Pleasant. And then we picked up, I hired a couple local musicians to complete the band and make us a quintet. Anyway, I think it was that gig. We checked out some of the area.
Nice. Now, you guys have a website. It's banjonickaru.com, right? That would be probably the best way for people to kind of stay on top of upcoming gigs and new music and that kind of thing?
Yeah, that's right. And we also have Instagram, which I've been trying to keep up with when we're out doing some fun gig or taking some photos. It's just a hashtag Banjo Nickaru. And Facebook, I think it has a dot. I think it's banjo.nickaru on Facebook. But, Banjo Nickaru is also a lot easier to find than Nick Russo because my name is way too common. So that's also a blessing. I think people could just Google Banjo Nickaru and all these things come up. And Nickaru is Nickaru. Nice.
Absolutely. Well, good. Well, Nick, it's good talking to you. Good luck on the new CD. It's called The Very Next Thing. And good luck for you and Betina. And, we can't wait for the release of the new disc.
Oh, thank you so much, Sonny. You've been asking so many great questions and such a great vibe and great interviewer. I thank you so much. I also want to give a shout out to 1888 Media, Rob Evanoff, for bringing us together, bringing all these personalities together, which is amazing to have this opportunity. Yeah,
it's Nick Russo there. We also talked to his wife, Betina Hershey of Banjo Nickaru and Western Scooches. You're looking for something kind of off the beaten path. All those different elements all blended together for a tasty combination, for sure. Well, lots of great interviews on the horizon and a lot of reviews as well. I mean, I can't believe how many great albums are coming out or have just come out. It's all ready for the holiday gift-giving season, I suppose. So just keep checking back. We'll keep churning them out for you.
You've been listening to Icon Fetch with Tony Peters. Want more great interviews? Head over to iconfetch.com. There, you'll find every interview we've ever done, plus CD reviews, This Day in Music, and a random album of the day. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter. Who is Tony going to interview next? It could be you. Send what you've got to Tony Peters. Icon Fetch, P.O. Box 292134, Dayton, Ohio 45429. Or email Tony at host@iconfetch.com. Until next time, this is Joe Kelly. Have a great day.